All right, let's spin this conversation forward. Again, CBS NFL analyst Emery Hunt here, and the purveyor of playoffs, John Breach, joining us as well to break down some of what we saw and all of what it means. Let's take a look at that NFC playoff picture first here, gentlemen, as we do have a Y next to the Lions' name. It is the Y that has dangled in front of this team for north of 2 decades. They now have the hats and the T-shirts and the title of division champion. Big one coming up for Eagles as they try and get right on Christmas Day. Cowboys with the loss to Miami, that's a big one as well. Rams and Seahawks standing pat at 8-7 with the going rate behind them 7-8, so no tiebreak needed between your 7 seed and the 8 seed. As we take this all in, John, if you're trying to make sense of what you expect to see 2 weeks from now, like what was the biggest result here on Sunday that informed that?
Well, I think the biggest question for me in the NFC was who was going to get that 7th seed. I felt pretty comfortable with the way the Rams were playing, that they would end up with the 6th seed. You had the Vikings fighting for that 7th seed. You had the 2nd place team in the NFC South fighting for that 7th seed. You had maybe the Green Bay Packers. But a team I think is going to get it out is the Seattle Seahawks with their huge comeback win in Tennessee. It's amazing what they've done just over the past week with that last-second win on Monday night against the Eagles, following it up with another TD pass in the final minute to beat the Titans. And now they've put themselves in a spot where they win their final 2 games, and they're in the playoff. You beat the Steelers at home in Week 17. You beat the Cardinals in Week 18. You punch your ticket to the postseason. So I think the Seahawks are probably the NFC team that has to be feeling the best about itself right now.
Yeah, I like the way this top 7 sits right now in the NFC. I think this is pretty much locked in.
You're not seeing any major change?
I'm not seeing any major change. Based off what we saw today, I feel like this is where we're going to land come postseason. John laid it out perfectly about Seattle's trek to the playoffs. You like that the Rams, we talked about this last time, the Rams are doing a great job. They're locked in my opinion. But this top 7, to me, is going to represent the NFC in the playoffs this year. Everyone else that's in the hunt, nice try. Parting gifts backstage. It won't happen for you this year.
Not cut and dry just yet by any means, but the chips are beginning to fall into place here. A big chip also I'd like to point to here is the Buccaneers and what they were able to do on Sunday, Emery. At 8-7, we've been sitting here all season saying someone's got to win it. Someone's got to win it. Who wants to win it? That has emerged as a team that not only is likely to claim that division, but one that I'm not sure you want to go there to play if you are in that 5 seed. Where have you seen the changes from the Buccaneers lately?
Quarterback play has been excellent. So they're getting great play from Baker Mayfield. They're also getting excellent play on defense. So when you're combining an offense that's able to drive the length of the field, put the ball in the end zone, and a defense that's able to close out games, it's the perfect marriage for a team that could be a problem for someone in the playoffs. Their run game is okay, but I do feel like the passing game is the reason why we've seen them get to where we are now.
All right, let's take a look at some numbers coming out of this one, as we do think that it is going to be as stands through the 7 seeds. But if you're looking at some of those there and beyond, the Buccaneers in the pole position right now to take that division, 88% chance, almost an 89% chance to make the playoffs. Seahawks and Rams, the next best. And there is your pesky bunch that needed results here. The Packers surviving throughout this week, but a couple of losses that are going to cost them when it's all said and done. The Vikings suffering that biggest loss here on Sunday. All right, time to peruse what it may look like in the AFC as well, and I'd beg to say it's a little bit less cut and dry, if you will, because we got so many teams stacked up right there at 8-7. We almost had another one. If the Broncos could have pulled that one off, that would have been another one into the pool of 8-7. That is currently Bengals, Steelers, Texans, Colts, with tiebreakers to be situated throughout. The Bills coming up with not only a win this week, but then some help elsewhere. The Jags, a big loss, but still your 4 seed at 8-7, despite their current slide.
This whole playoff picture is not in the AFC. I mean, the Cleveland Browns are the 5 seed with Joe Flacco. They could still get the 1 seed. I don't think it's going to happen, but it's at least plausible. We saw Jacksonville. They got smoked in Tampa Bay, but it didn't hurt them at all because we saw the Colts and the Texans both lose. And Jacksonville's percentage to make the playoffs, or to win the division, didn't really fall because they swept the Colts this season. So if they end up in a tiebreaker there, you win it. If they beat the Titans in Week 18, they're going to end up with a better division record than the Texans. So they win that tiebreaker with Houston. So they're really good in the tie-breaking department. Jacksonville doing okay despite being in a rut for the whole month of December. I think the bigger surprise here is with the Dolphins win, they're a very realistic shot at the #1 seed. They play Baltimore in week 17. That is wide open. The Ravens will be coming off a short week playing the Dolphins. That is fascinating. And then you look at the bottom down there, who's going to get that 7th seed. I feel pretty comfortable with the Bills at 6. But look, the Texans, the Colts, that is your 7th team. That is your 8th team right now. They play each other in week 18. And it feels like the winner of that game will end up getting that spot. And the big reason I think that is because the Steelers lost to both the Texans and the Colts. So even if the Steelers get to 9-8 or 10-7, if they end up in a head-to-head tie with the Colts or Texans, they're losing it because they lost those games. So I think the Colts or Texans, the winner of that week 18 match, ends up getting that 7th seed.
Yeah, and when you think about this whole AFC picture and you look at those teams in the AFC South, where you are today is a direct result of what you've done. So you can't get frustrated with anyone else but yourself based off how you handled the situation when Jacksonville has lost that game before you played your game. You go out and lose a couple of weeks ago, you could have made up ground against Jacksonville. Today, the Jags lose, you forget to make up ground because you also lost as well, and you may have found yourself losing out of the playoff picture. So you can't get mad at anyone else but yourself, and that's what's going on right now in the AFC South.
What if is not a fun game to play, so maybe let's play it by the numbers. John, Emery, we appreciate you as always as we take a look at the percentage chance for all of these teams hanging right there in the mix. Browns mathematically essentially in. Chiefs mathematically essentially in. The Bills, massive weekend, and let's broaden here. Massive few weeks for the Buffalo Bills, whose back has been against the wall, but they have kept on swinging. The Jags, despite this slide, still better than almost 3/4 chance to make it into the playoffs, and then the all-interesting Week 18 matchup. Colts-Texans. We'll see if Houston could get their star rookie quarterback back and make a difference coming home. Straight ahead, highlights and press conference reaction from Denver. Mistakes, miscues, and a Merry Christmas. All coming next on CBS Sports HQ.